This is your reminder that the Phantom Rebels, that's my band, are playing at the Biltmore on June 25th with Tunnel Vision and Miraculous. And this is one of the songs we're going to be doing. Is a brand new original song of mine called Wake Up.
Nobody knows how deep it goes. She lost her capacity to cope. She fell in a downward spiral. Down, 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 down. She gon' wake up, sleeping angel. Wake up from this dream. Your demons are burning in hell. Wake up, she screamed. She came to resolve on the rapid trail. Tried so hard but still fear she failed. Bashed his head through the car window. Darkness fell while the blood flowed. Wake up, sleeping angel. Wake up from this dream. Your demons are burning in hell. Wake up, she screamed. She lost all hope. She can't take it no more. Please end this misery. Oh, oh, oh. I don't wanna think about her tonight. In her small world, there was no light. One little dose to watch him die. Tears in her eyes, commit suicide. Wake up, sleeping angel. Wake up from this dream. Your demons are burning in hell. Wake up, she screamed. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up from this dream.
Jackson D. Begley of the Phantom Rebels is the new band, right?
Yeah, that's the clarification I should make. It's the same band that we've been playing in together for the last 2 years, kind of like a solo project in disguise.
Okay.
So it's Cole and Jules and Jim and I doing our songs. The Phantom Rebels is just what we're calling it now. Literally because on a bill with a bunch of other band names, like band name, random person's name, band name.
Right. It doesn't work.
That looks weird, yeah.
Okay, so more of like a rebrand initiative on kind of the stuff you've been doing already.
Precisely.
Okay, great. So, I mean, for people who don't know any of your work, what kind of music do you do, would you say?
Well, mostly it's new wave and kind of new romantic and mostly post-punk, but with the slightest garage rock, rockabilly sort of flair.
Okay. That's something I love about you is you get very particular about how you talk about music, right? You've got like a very encyclopedic kind of knowledge here.
It actually took a while to figure out how to answer that very question because, like, honest to goodness, I do like 5 different genres at the same time.
Right.
They're all under the rock and roll umbrella, but you know, there are such stark lines between the subgenres. So like, I finally narrowed it down actually to new romantic symphonic rockabilly.
Okay.
I think that's what I have in my Instagram bio.
Symphonic.
Well, yeah, because I'm a huge Moody Blues fan.
Okay.
ELO, Procol Harum, the. I know that's kind of an oxymoron because that's kind of a relic of the prog era. But like, I like mellotrons, I like orchestrations, I like synthesizers. So I really like what the Moody Blues did, and carries over into my music.
Yeah. Well, and something I've found is really interesting with you and your music is like you're able to do like most of your stuff seems to be written with the intention of playing with like a full band, but then you're able to do like individual like an unplugged acoustic version of pretty much everything that you've written. No?
Yeah, I'd say so. About 85% of the stuff I write with the intent of performing it in some way or another, whether with the band or
No, it's okay.
or
Me too, actually.
yeah.
Can I just get a scooch a little bit?
To my left?
Yeah. Just look at the camera. Yeah,
Okay.
that's about right.
No, but yeah, like most of everything that I write with the conceit that I'll be playing it one day, whether at an open mic or a solo acoustic showcase or with the band behind me.
Okay. Well, you say conceit as if... Sorry, I'm just checking levels right now. You're saying conceit like you would rather not be doing it live, right? Like as though you would like it to be primarily consumed through the recorded version.
I'll clarify. I'd rather not be performing acoustic versions.
Oh, okay.
I'd rather primarily be playing the material with the full band lineup.
Right. It's just logistically difficult to nail that, right?
Yeah.
So, because you're one of the people who I see at open mics kind of the most often, I think. What really drives you to do those, do you think?
It's practice.
There you go.
It's a better form of practice than doing it by myself.
Right.
Because like you have, I guess not really simulated because it is a real crowd, but you have like the simulated feeling of playing for a crowd, which then when you actually get on stage and stretch your legs and do a quote unquote real show, you're used to the feeling. And it's not like riding a bike. I think you have to practice playing.
Oh yeah, no, like if you take a couple weeks off, like that one show is gonna go kind of rough, I think.
Playing for a crowd is like a totally separate art form altogether than actually playing the instrument or singing.
Yeah.
You have to practice working with the crowd too.
Yeah, I think it's just like there's a different skill there, right? Like you can, if you're practicing, you can practice chord shapes, you can practice strum patterns, picking patterns, all kinds of different things. But like working to a crowd is its own unique skill that if you're not practicing that, then your show is going to be lacking in that, I think, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And in the Phantom Rebels, I'm up front. I'm I guess what you call the front man. I'm the band leader, so I have to have the most stage presence of all.
Right. Well, but you also play in other people's bands too. Correct?
Oh yes, yeah.
So like, how does that sort of change your approach to things?
I play in a band called ASD Band,
Okay.
which was started by an autism charity in Toronto, Jake's House, and they went on the internet and found a bunch of musicians with autism. I got an email from them,
Okay.
and they were filming a documentary actually, which if you're curious, it's on CBC Gem. It's the ASD Band movie. And so it was a camera crew following us around, recording an EP. And during the COVID pandemic, funny enough, so if you watch the film, you'll see a lot of masks.
Everyone's in a parallel universe.
Yeah. So in that band, I'm the rhythm guitar player. I sing lead on about 2 of the tracks on the EP, but that's different because I'm more like a hired gun kind of in that band. But actually, physically, to properly answer your question, it isn't that different. You're still on stages with your peers, with other musicians. I guess the only difference is that in a more traditional collaborative sort of band thing, you're not so much doing your own work, you know?
Right. So, like, in a way, would you say it's like you're not in charge necessarily? You have to, like, collaborate a little bit more?
That's the only difference, yeah.
Okay. But in terms of, like, performing and stage presence, well, I guess, okay, there's a difference between, like, if you're a hired gun or if you're, like, 1/4 of the band.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, if you're really just, like, a hired, like, come here, play these chords, you can kind of, like, hang back. You don't need to dance around, flail around. You can if you want.
ASD band's a unique situation because I'm not the lead singer. That's a woman powerhouse singer named Rowan Tafaha. She sings lead. However, I sing lead with her sometimes, and it's kind of both. If I'm doing like background vocals on a song or someone else is singing lead, you know, I do rein it in a little bit. But when I do take the lead on a song, you know, when I'm George Harrison singing like one little fraction of a set of Beatles songs, then then I'm Elvis, you know, then sure. I'm the front man for that one song. But mostly though it isn't that different than fronting my own project. The only difference is the frequency of how much time I spend on stage as the head, you know? Yeah.
Well, so you mentioned the Elvis thing. I think that we need to talk about that at some point.
Yeah.
Well, that was like when I first came across you, that was like really the main thing that people knew you for, I think. And I think that's sort of starting to change. You're developing kind of your own identity here.
Well, going to open mics and doing covers. Like, obviously, I'm really into rockabilly and jump blues. So, like, about half of the cover repertoire that I do is like those songs in that kind of world. Like, and that isn't just Elvis. That's Buddy Holly. That's Eddie Cochran, that's Chuck Berry, that's Larry Williams, and also like I was kind of raised in it. My dad was, my dad who plays drums in my band, who's a complete other different story altogether. After he was done playing in post-punk bands in the early '80s, he started doing shows as an Elvis impersonator. So my upbringing is weird. I existed kind of in both of those worlds like simultaneously. I grew up worshiping Elvis Presley and Stiv Bators.
But like, because you got into doing like the Elvis impersonation thing yourself.
I took that over from my dad.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I guess it's convenient because then you've got all the wardrobe, you've got the guitars, you've got kind of the equipment needed to pull off a show like that.
Right. And I think a point I was trying to arrive at earlier was that if you find work like doing a set of like an acoustic show, and if you already have 200 songs, like 200 cover songs that you already know. Like, I've been playing in bands longer than I've been performing acoustically. So, like, actually, like, that's new to me. like the type of shows I used to do upstairs in this very building at the snack bar.
Yeah.
Most of the cover songs I did were oldies. And brain fart, sorry.
Yeah, I know. No, like something you've mentioned is like, because you're really into the oldie kind of music, but you've said this to me before that like your mission is to tell people like this is not your granddad's music.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Like make it cool again.
Yes, yeah, because I alongside the early rock and roll, like I mentioned, Stiv Bader's like Lords of the New Church. I grew up idolizing Lords of the New Church right alongside Buddy Holly and the Crickets. So the only frame of reference that I had at the time was that was all the same. That was all just rock and roll in two separate points of its history.
Yeah. Well, and like, I think you're particularly skilled at drawing from kind of any point in the history of rock and roll, right? Like from today all the way back into like the 50s and 40s even.
Well, of course now that I'm decidedly more educated, I know that there are distinctions.
Sure.
But like, I also know that there are commonalities too.
Talk more about them.
Well, one of the early two of like the early punk rock groups that everyone remembers and that everyone cites are Misfits and the Cramps. And like people used to say to me, "Oh, like in a mansplaining kind of way, like I don't already know the history." "Oh, you love Glenn Danzig. He sings like Elvis, And and the Cramps do like a heavy, swampy rockabilly with distortion kind of thing, and they're they're retroactively remembered as two of the first punk rock groups, and they basically took what Carl Perkins did and put new skin over it. So I guess that's an example of like the same kind of.
Barry, you don't need to sneak under the camera like that.
You sure?
Oh, thank you.
I don't want to be in the way. Here you go, my friend.
Shout out to Barry, folks.
Oh, come on. Shout out to Shwacast, guys.
Okay.
Check it out.
Well, yeah, I guess that's an example of a direct through line from one type of thing leading directly to another type of thing.
Well, and like, because there's the thing of every artist was drawing inspiration from the artists that came before them. And like, there's kind of a lineage there that's following. But then there's also like technological advancements in the equipment that was available that kind of pushed people's sound forward, right?
Yeah, I could ramble about that for a whole hour.
Let's go.
Well, it all started in the late 50s with the advent of twin-track stereo.
Okay.
So we're recording with two mics now. We have two channels, and around about 1958, like the earliest advent of multi-track recording was, okay, we had one track before, now we have two. But that was mostly only available for big studios at the time. Multi-track stereo didn't become commercially available until at least the early 1960s.
Okay. And you're talking about stereo as in two inputs. We're not at like two outputs yet.
And the 4-track tape machine was basically two twin-track tape machines stacked on top of one another. So now 4 tracks. And before that, twin-track stereo was a thing mostly used for movies. It was a technique that they developed for cinema. You have your dialogue track and your sound effects and music track.
Right.
But it's funny, even in the early 1960s, when 4-track stereo became commercially available, the average music buying public wasn't listening to music in stereo. the way that Beatles fans in the UK remember all the early Beatles records is they remember the mono pressings and all the promotion and all the hoo-ha went into the mono mixing. They got the most attention. Stereo in its early days was was something for like the hi-fi snob audiophiles with the expensive.
You want different signals in both of your ears, you arrogant prick.
with the expensive sound systems. Right. So engineers in the studios back in those days making stereo mixes treated it as a total afterthought, which is why a lot of early 4-track stereo from the early 1960s sounds so weird. Because it was an afterthought compared to the mono, which was the priority.
Well, and I would compare it to if you watch like a really old movie, how editing techniques, like the art form wasn't mature yet.
Yeah.
Right? And like even the engineers didn't know how it was supposed to sound in that situation. Right?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, it's all right. It's funny, kind of tangentially related to Elvis, Bill Porter, who was a recording engineer at Nashville in the early 60s. He was a pioneer of the Nashville sound. I think in a lot of the stuff that Bill Porter was the mixing engineer on, so that's not just Elvis, but a lot of Roy Orbison and Everly Brothers stuff recorded in Nashville at that time. Bill Porter was one of the first mixing engineers to figure out that, okay, lead vocals have to be dead center, and like percussion has to be a wall around everything else. And I think I credit the Nashville sound and Bill Porter for the kind of language that modern mixing engineers use for stereo balancing still today. And then come the 1970s, after the advent of 8-track, I think after 1968, which is when I think the 8-track tape machine was invented, I think nothing in terms of multi-track recording has meaningfully changed since then. Like, I think we're still recording with techniques that were perfected in the late 60s and early 70s.
Sure. It just, now we have even more tracks, even more instruments, right?
Yeah.
And, well, it's one of those things that it's very easy. If you have 8 tracks, you can use 8 tracks. If you have 25, you're going to use 25, right? But, like, I think 8 is definitely enough to cover a regular band.
For a rock band.
Yeah, for a rock band, right? You start adding a horn section, like a keyboard, you get like string, like you can use more. I don't know, how often it's necessary, right?
You know what? Actually, even less channels than you think for recording a live orchestra.
Well, yeah, because then you can just put 2 condensers and do that.
Yeah. If you go on digital streaming platforms and look up classical recordings, like conducted by Leonard Bernstein or by the Boston Pops from the 50s and 60s, this was early twin-track stereo stuff, and it was literally 2 overheads at either end of the room, and orchestras are still recorded pretty much exactly that way. So if you hear like Mozart D minor piano concerto movement 2, and like you see in the metadata, oh, this is from 1959,
Well, and it's a funny thing in that, like, because you're only recording 2 tracks, really, like, the mixer is the conductor of the orchestra.
Yeah.
Saying, like, no, a little louder, a little quieter, right?
Well, it's and it was written pre-recording. Like,
yeah.
So the mixing is literally written into the music through the expressions.
Well, and there's like something I like to think about a lot is how live music existed for substantially longer than recorded music. And I think a lot of people don't relate to live music in the way that we used to. Just because so many people only listen to recorded music these days. And like, I don't know if we've lost something in that.
Yeah. I guess that's why I like rock and roll so much, and all things related to it is if you see a really good, really tight 4-piece rock band and hear a recording of the same performance, it's why I like a lot of early Beatles records too. When they recorded "Please Please Me" live off the floor, that album you're essentially listening to like a show that like a performance that they did right there in the studio, and also Beatles again, the BBC sessions. I think that's why those are so great.
Well, and there was a thing with like older recording music where, similar to like what I said earlier with like older movies, the art form wasn't necessarily mature. So where like the way they would record it was kind of, they would play a live set but in a studio.
Yeah. I'm gonna roll this back around to something we were talking about earlier. So I sound a little hypocritical right now because if you listen to my music, my productions are huge.
Yeah.
But like I write the music in such a way where you could strip it back to like chord accompaniment and just lead vocals, and the strength of the melodies and the polyphony of the chords would still stand on its own even without the bells and whistles.
Well, and like, because your songwriting process, we've talked about this before, usually you are writing on piano first, right?
Oh yeah.
And then kind of, but like you write it as a solo piano piece.
Well,
and then it changes into whatever it's going to be.
That depends on what kind of song I'm
Sure.
writing. If I go into it deliberately trying to write something kind of heavy and kind of rockin', I write the riff on guitar.
Yeah.
If I'm writing something kind of melodic and introspective, that's a piano song.
And then, so why piano when like very rarely do you perform on piano, right?
Rarely. I'd like to more often. It's just a massive headache.
Yeah, it's just a big thing to carry to the gig.
Yeah. Why piano? It's easier to come up with new original music when you have the canvas of the keyboard laid out in front of you and like every possible note you could use. And then of course like whatever you write, like whatever you've written after it's done, you can learn the guitar accompaniment for it later.
Talk more about the process of doing that, because I think it's not always intuitive to people.
Intuitive.
Well, I mean, like in the sense of, because sometimes I'll like to take a piano piece and I'll write an acoustic guitar version of it, right? But now you have to figure out like chord shapes on guitar. Sometimes it's really difficult to move between two chord shapes that are easy to move between on piano.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like, are you thinking about that kind of thing while you're writing it? Or are you just struggling through whatever happens to be difficult on the other end?
Well, not to brag or anything, but I have good enough musical training, and I trust my ears enough that that I can hear a chord progression and just play it.
Okay. And like, so you're coming at it from like the ear training kind of thing where you can like figure out chords by listening?
I can't describe how, but but because I can already play piano, I can visualize music played on the piano, and then I don't know how I can, but I can intuitively know how that would look on a guitar.
Okay, that's interesting. And it just developed over many years kind of situation?
Yeah, I guess.
All right. And then, so we've talked about piano and guitar. You play other stuff too, right? I've seen you on drums at some point. I've seen you on bass quite a bit.
Oh yeah, I
Melodica.
I played drums. I've played drums on a few of my recorded songs. I'm not sure if I would count bass and melodica as
Distinctly different instruments.
distinctly different instruments.
Yeah, like bass is kind of guitar,
Yeah.
and melodica is definitely piano.
Right, yeah.
But like, there's definitely skills to both of those that don't apply to guitar or piano, right?
You see this callus on my two fingers. I'm a bass player.
Well, and then there's also like, have you done any other wind instruments besides melodica?
I used to play recorder.
Well,
Like, you know,
Okay, that's-
everyone used to play recorder.
that's not an instrument. It's a toy. It's a
Well, it's like a clarinet.
yeah. Well, no, clarinet is a real instrument. Clarinet requires like quite a lot of practice to be good at. I don't know that anyone's good at recorder.
Recorder is a toy. Tell that to Bach.
Fucking.
Like,
Okay, well, there is like serious recorder, and there's like professional recorder players who will have 6 of them in different sizes, different keys. But like,
right.
I think this is usually more of a like an elementary school wants to do some kind of a music program, and like what's cheap enough that we can buy 30 of them, and simple enough that like a teacher who probably doesn't have musical training can walk you through it.
I
right?
remember the recorder pretty fondly because, I remember being quite good at it. And the first like actual like academic music composition I wrote, like made sheet music of and played was on recorder.
Oh, that's interesting.
Our music teacher was like trying to like teach us music theory by actually using it. Like okay, you know the
Okay, so you had a good
yeah.
music teacher on recorder then.
I think so. Mr. Gladman, I think, if he's out there.
So, what was like your first kind of band experience? Like, how did that start?
I took music lessons at a music lessons place in Whitby. There was more than one. There was one in Pickering, but I went to the Whitby one, called Creative Math and Music. They do simultaneous math tutoring and music lessons, and I did both because I was absolutely horrible at math, but was also really interested in music. So
Carrot and stick kind of situation.
I'd do math homework there for a while, and then like for an hour, and then jam out on the instruments. They didn't even really teach me anything substantial there. Like, it was literally just an hour of me fooling around on the instrument.
And they just have a bunch of stuff that you can mess around with.
I learned how to jam and like how to play with other musicians because the instructors there, I guess they got a kick out of it. Like all this kid wants to do is play, you know. I guess they saw promise in me. They chose 2 other kids who they were working with, a drummer and a guitarist, and they threw us together in a band, and we did like covers of like, you know, the dad rock, classic rock canon. Like, you know, like the first songs they teach you how to play as a band when you're a kid in a band. So like we did Crazy Train.
Yep.
We did
Smoke on the Water.
yeah. I played bass and sang. Zane Holly, who actually now plays lead guitar in Chasing Shadows, played guitar, and Jordan, who played drums, but the initials of the band were JMZ, but Jordan is a man, and the M initial is his dead name. So, but that was back in the day. That was the first band I was ever in. I was barely 13 years old.
Okay. And then, so where did it go from there?
Well, we played for about 2.5 years. And I started getting really serious into songwriting at that time. I'd written stupid, kid type songs before about going to the beach,
okay,
and whatnot. But I started writing my first honest to God actual good songs around the time I was 13, 14, and JMZ was the first time I played original music that I wrote with a band, so that's kind of where that started.
Okay. And then, where did you take it from there? What was your next project you got into?
Well, JMZ kind of dissolved. We all went to high school and I guess joined other bands. The next band I was in was actually with Zane. I was the original singer of Chasing Shadows.
There we go.
As time wore on, I started to take songwriting about doubly more seriously and started my own solo project, which at the time, I was still in high school at the time, and Justin Bieber was all the rage, and we were my dad, who was trying to help me with my career, the whole concept was that I was going to be the anti-Bieber.
Okay.
And I was called Jackson X.
Ooh.
At the time.
Yeah, you couldn't do that brand today.
Yeah.
Got redefined.
Oh, yeah. That's too bad. One of my favorite bands, who literally just...
Is called X,
the
yeah.
letter X. Yeah. They have to make disclaimers now. They're old now. They still play, but that is not an enviable position to be in.
Well, it's I remember there used to be a bunch of branded things that were called ISIS. And then all of that had to get rebranded too, right? The world changes, right? But something you were just talking about I wanted to touch on here is you've been through a few bands, right? They don't always necessarily stick, right? I know a lot of young people these days who are maybe in a band that you're in high school, you're in elementary school, your life is going to change in a couple years. Your band will likely dissolve.
Right.
But you keep doing your own music.
Yeah.
Right? Could you speak to that a little bit? And people who are feeling discouraged if the band they started with is not maybe keeping up.
Well, I guess most bands that I know, most of my musician friends that have bands, myself included, or for that matter, most bands that are huge, are really actually one person's vision kind of in disguise.
Okay.
Queens of the Stone Age, that's Josh Homme's thing.
Yeah.
It's the White Stripes was all Jack White's songs, and they were more popular as the White Stripes than Jack White is by himself.
Yeah.
So as long as you have a repertoire of songs, keep rebranding. Like, you know, if because, you know, having kick-ass rock songs doesn't mean anything if you don't have a band to play them live with.
Right.
So literally the only advice I could give is keep at it till you find a lineup that does stick.
Right. Well, and like, it's very likely that you won't until you're kind of into your adult life.
Yeah.
Right? Just your life changes as you move from 14 into 16, 17, and then into your 20s, right? Those are 3 different phases of...
The other difficult thing I've noticed is that everyone wants to do their own thing.
Right.
Everyone wants to be like the center of whatever they're doing, and they all have their own projects. But it is difficult trying to have your cake and eat it too, like trying to find people who want to help your vision, but who also still want to be collaborative.
Right.
And I think I'm lucky to have bandmates in Cole and in Jules and in Jim. Like, Jules has his own solo band thing, the Jules McCool's band, and Cole plays in his own band called Luna Moth, which I also play bass in, actually.
But so really, depending on, because it's almost like the same group of people are 3 different bands, and what's really changing is who's taking the creative role as like the primary thing. Right? Like, and everyone's obviously being creative still, but there's like the person whose band it is gets to dictate, no, we're playing like this drum beat.
Right. Yeah. And I guess that's the thing is I'm lucky to have found other musicians that are willing to do both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, do you think it's possible to have a band where everyone is like totally equal with each other, or does someone need to take the lead?
I think it can be both. I think throughout history there have been fantastic bands where the creative process has been entirely collaborative. And I also think there have been fantastic bands where it's one guy doing this, you know.
Right. Well, like, there are fantastic solo projects.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Or like the Looper thing where like it's one guy that's kind of becoming a whole band, right? Like, there's so many different directions you could take it in. But I think in order to have like a cohesive sound, someone needs to like be in charge and like have the nerve to tell a bandmate, no, what you're doing isn't working right now.
Someone needs to be the de facto producer.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, I guess you go to a studio, then there's a producer, then they tell you what to do.
A good example of that is Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
Like they were, you know, like it was Jimmy Page's baby. It was the New Yardbirds. Like Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones kind of took over like the creative. They were the de facto producers of Led Zeppelin. I think John Paul Jones, especially, like the string section in Kashmir was arranged by him. He played keyboard and mellotron wherever there was keyboard and mellotron on top of playing bass. So I guess for Led Zeppelin it was mostly John Paul Jones who kind of led it, along with Jimmy Page, and I'm sure there are other examples. And Yeah, it was Stiv Baders. I mentioned Stiv Baders. Like, Lords of the New Church was his baby. Andy Partridge and Colin Moulding with XTC. But I guess that's the thing of how fluid it is that sometimes it's all members collaborating together, sometimes it's just one guy, sometimes it's half the band, like sometimes it's 2 out of 4 guys.
Well, and like what you're mentioning with Led Zeppelin is interesting, and there's sort of a division between like the technical production side of it and the creative songwriting side of it. Right? And you can divide it up that kind of way.
Yeah.
Right? Because, well, in running a band, there's so many different facets to it, even outside of like the music itself, right? Like there's logistics in running a show, right? Sometimes, like in a band, someone is like the tour manager out of your band. Right? And figuring out like, how do we get to this place? What time do we need to be there? What do we need to bring? That kind of logistic end of things. Right?
Well, yeah, that's I guess one area of it.
Well, and what are some things that you think people don't consider often enough? Right? Like, I want to get a band going. I don't know how to do it. I'm just going to go. What are they maybe going to miss?
Things people don't consider. So you have original songs, and say you've solidified the arrangements, and you're about to go into the studio. Make sure that your drummer can play to a click track.
Yeah. Make sure everyone can play to a click track, but with the drummer, it's critical.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like once again, it's another skill that you need to practice, right? I mean, how it's said with like stage presence is a practiced skill. Like, just going to a metronome is.
Engineers will love you if you can complete a drum take in like 2.5 tries.
Yeah. 1 try would be better.
Yeah.
Well, no one's perfect. All right. Wanna change gears, get into some music now?
Yeah, music. This is an original by me, Jackson and the Phantom Rebels. We'll be doing this song at the Biltmore on June 25th. This song's called Haunted.
The sky's as red as crimson, and nobody cares to listen. The siren is deafening, and no one can hear a goddamn thing. And all of the omens and all of the warning bells, doom is clearly spelled. And all because of lies we don't dispel. We all go straight to hell. We thought we had more time to steer the ship from ice, but karma don't play games. This is the mess we've made. Our house is haunted and painted red with blood. Our house is haunted. We're finished, well and truly done. Our bones are in the closet. Don't look what's beneath the carpet. I recall a time when this was home, and now the earth we're damned to roam. The scum of the earth get paid, while the righteous die in vain. Do we let them dig our graves? Do we let them kill and maim? Our house is home.